to wise act for a brighter future is to unlock the vault of possibilities based on sustainability and safeness, logical and rational. But more than that, building for a long-term endeavor. Hi, my name is Tom Kata, and I'm a cosmopolitan citizen from Brazil who speaks Brasileiro, but I'm today speaking your language towards a consideration, especially for Hamilton. I've audited several billions of dollars in fraud, about 8 billion only at Brazil, most of which not even millionaires are aware of that existing possibility. I've audited this especially here at Brazil due government malpractices. As well, same issues can be found in governances worldwide through malpractice of governments itself. World politics, institutions, and economies, as well banks, through its geopolitical flaws, failed. And do that, I found out we need a new world experience, a pleasant and virtuous one, a peaceful one. Imagine a future where we can live in peace and with more freedom for expanding our own capabilities. Imagine a future for a long-lasting search in the depths of our own soul, each one of us, individually and collectively. By connecting dots of the past in the arguments that authorize the foundation of countries, I found out that some of the same arguments of the foundation of others are being jeopardized to low-minded people that have no perspective of future and low level of arguments that cannot sustain itself. Governments worldwide are in debt of trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars. That is due to the failure of the systems itself. Uncovered assets, debts, and liabilities in their own fields, especially for banks, is a huge issue. And that you can see throughout the hindrance of their own data. I've developed several projects, ideas, and endeavors due to the madness that is happening and things that should be but are not being. What is being put aside and where we've got to go to achieve the brilliance that humankind was meant to be is being jeopardized by low-level minded beings. Low-level minded because they are not concerned about you, and by being governance and not concerned with you, they are not concerned with themselves or their legacies. You, as an entrepreneur, or you, as a citizen, or as a military officer, you should think more about what you want for yourself and for your family. For this, several factors are needed, especially fundaments, ethics, the righteousness to build and foster a better future. Having developed a new unique framework of what I call double pole lever pulley model, what I've been concepted for my life was a way to heal inflation itself, to make industries and agribusiness keep fostering a better way inside and outside their countries. A new level of policies. The second is what I've called towing as tow SWOT model. That is a concise framework solution that is approached for solving the issues. All that behold the Brazilian extension territory and your own country itself. Our building is for fostering your own independence and ourselves' independence. A multilateral solution that helps everyone worldwide and eliminates or have the possibility to eliminate bad governance worldwide and give objective to our business, to our citizenship, to our democracies, and to life itself, which for us is a matter of ontogenesis, what I've called the evolutionary purpose. So, by that, the first of these factors is the compelling urge of man to unfold and to discover, and, as its nature, is to care for self-development and the development of the other. As we need each other for building ourselves, for building what we need, and for building for our families, and for our friends, and for all the ones that surround us. After all, everything we build is for each other. So, dignity, as I've called, is the heart of thy sword. The heart of thy sword itself is value worth building, is fostering through righteousness into wisdom act better outcomes. Trust is the trust of endeavors, and that leads men and women to get where no one has never been before. Nowadays is a time that we have the possibility of doing the maximum of science ourselves, and bad governances are depriving ourselves to being better for ourselves and for the others. Therefore, fundaments are basics for development itself. Most of the surface of Earth has now been exploited and not nurtured, jeopardized instead of developed itself and people. And men and women now turn to the exploration of outer space as our next objective. But for that, we have to care for Earth itself. We need more than change or chance. We need bright minds to be the axis of example for being more than a planetary civilization. Energy means food, water, and also the things that make our developments, such as energy that fuel our mobiles, cars, and rockets, that make possible them to work. But starts with ourselves. Trust is the first ballast of money itself. On this site, a powerful engine is being built, and for that, the correct frameworks and understandings by the basis of the most approximated truth a human can have developed what no one could. My aim is to build an infinite engine pathway, renewable, helping industries and humanity itself to travel 100 times faster than we can today. Or possibly more than that. Imagine it. Thousands of inhabited planets at our fingertips, and we'll be able to stand through new worlds, but that demands trust and concern with Earth itself. Imagine we can seek out new life and new civilizations, foster them to develop if this their want, to respect their own cultural values and foster friendship for them being as well with us good citizens. If they want, of course. After all, friendship starts with voluntary action. For that, and for thriving, Earth citizens have to be a good civilization ourselves. This engine will let us go boldly, where no man has gone before. This is the adventure of Torot's enterprise, a development of couple of years plan to development with a bold crew at this giant starship, to build better ways to produce and deliver excitement of the world's finest, to build the best since an uncharted civilization. Having exotic people all along the way, all allowing them to be in the maximum of themselves, if that their will. Starting by one or one for all. Just a matter of logic and analysis of history itself, by data itself. Torot is not only a palindrome to remind deities of thunder and rain gods, but is speakable everywhere. Is about enabling people beyond language to be themselves their utmost version. Based on that concept, that cost differs from expenses, but are a set investment in what is necessary for the product end, yet necessary the development of people, countries, and companies. And for that, Earth itself. As its own fixes, we unfolded that costs are valuable investment, and when we reduce the expenses, we can develop even more. And by that, I also mean to exterminate corruption and crime. We can improve the overall revenue by fostering peace. Security and safeness is about having accountability. To hold accountable also malpractitioners, and analyzing the method of the double partitioning system, as in accountability, seeking equilibrium. From the bookkeeping methods to the higher existential maximum, enlightened materialism, we can afford to have the top of the Maslow pyramid of needs for all, based on sustainability itself. Citizens worldwide want more than make a living, than work for a living, than to have a work in 3-4 jobs. They don't want that. Carrying salt for unreasonable means because of stupid people in power. Citizens want to have a real experience of living beyond lousy metaverses. They want to feel worthy. They want to follow righteous values and to understand that the energy that they expend are coming back to them in a good way. But actually nowadays we have lousy people governing, sided by ignorance, even the ones that hide the greed. They are also bad professionals, to its own only profit and only control means. Manichaeists that are dumb and donkeys that don't see what they are doing or they like. In one side, we have leftists that don't understand the problem of corruption, of infrastructure and superstructure. That is a basic concept for left itself. In the other, we have the right wing that don't know what means fair play, and it's essential for the own functioning of business. Both lack ethics and righteousness, which put major countries in jeopardy and as colonies governed by apes. I include those of Europe itself. None of them are citizens' problems. Civilization lost its pathway, which is to serve citizens itself. The second factor is to analyze we have three options of equilibrium of dignity and liberty itself, which safeness is a ballast, but have also to obey dignity, that for us mean to be the maximum of what you can be. And by saying that, I'm implying that you have to respect the other. And how we can do that if governments don't respect you and even themselves? They are taking their own reasoning, their own reason of existence, and giving citizens and companies and the military itself the power of governing itself. The second factor, though, is we have these three options of equilibrium and dignity. Or we fix state, or we trim the useless expenses, as state and banks are partially or definitively removed, or we can conclude for sure monopolies and centralisms are not the solution. Actually, they cause even more issues, more trouble to citizens and for companies itself. They jeopardize people's lives and industries itself. Regarding the first option is the second factor. For this first method, fixing states and banks will take more effort, but may take us for better outcomes. Because we are pooping. But if there is no poop, how can we trust governments? As the second method, I've developed a way that heals itself. A corrective way of liquid democracy that can be minimal entropy, that don't bother states and serve well for the system and cleans itself, or it can be maximum entropy. And this entropy, I say, is for government, of course, because if government is being a big issue, why do we need them? Why do we need governance? Why do we need governance? Why do we need a justice that don't work in favor of justice? Why do we need a justice that don't work in favor of justice? And by that, we can state that this method of liquid democracy that I've developed is between companies, citizens, and military itself, voting proportionally. By military, I mean safety, that is to military officers, police officers, and jurists. This third group of citizens, this special group, is for guaranteeing our safeness itself. This method is able to reduce states' expenses, amplify surveillance by citizens, and better industries itself. The cooperative method of John Nash seems more likely, and we've uniquely adapted to be more comprehensive, focused for the overall result we want. Because the third method is to eliminate itself states and banks. Which would you choose? I bet to be conductors more than semiconductors for citizens, companies, and for the justice, jurists, military, and police officers itself, that can be self-evaluated, as is stated in my method. By that, people at governments that are tabula rasa, being nihilistic positives, trying to understand themselves but not knowing what to do, or the ones that nihilistic are negative, are just dumps and lousy copycats that can even create and do for others, and neither to themselves and their generations. They are just dumbheads that jeopardize their own fiducia, or as commonly known, trust. They jeopardize the trust they own set to build, as money means itself. They are trillions and trillions and trillions in debt with citizens. When fundaments are vice, the olds deserve to be toast. The third factor we need is to understand we need good food, energy, shelter, that means property, and development. And by analyzing we need energy itself, developing new methods of deliverance, and for itself working, combining the drives that are the trusts that charge industry itself and the whole market by more than competing but competing, we offer a brand new vision set to foster a new way of development of the industry itself by the nature of markets itself. By studying the historic foundations, we found out that incommensurable answers of intrinsic value in some great fields are yet being hidden from us. And we have capabilities to build further and further and further, because we have one thing that is behind our ears. And the people that already studied those and went in depth beyond what is apparent even in the highest universities, that don't know shit actually, because the system as it is, that don't know Carnegie, Nikola Tesla itself, Shibusawa Eiichi, Hawthorne of Mayo, Numa Dross, names that were forgotten, and now we resurrect them to bring them on our shoulders, to catalyze change, is where vision meets action, and we are here for action. Today, we have graphene, batteries, and reliable resources. We can drive best trusts by coils and more effective ways. As for great developments, we need to exchange fairly, to treat the others as the way we want to treat ourselves. To have self-respect is to have fraternal respect. To have self-respect is to have fraternal respect. And by doing so, my frameworks are about healing. These are our ventures, shattering limits to construct real legacies. To construct real legacies. The power, renewed intent. I'm thinking not 20 years further, not 30 years further, but I'm thinking to 1,000 years further. And by doing that, I can see what most of you can't. So it all starts by energy, justice, transportation, and a new kind of monetary system. The first energy itself is $1 trillion market cap. The second, some several billion only at Brazil itself. Some states made 152 billion, as the documentation that's presented in my Twitter itself. And there are other businesses, other tribunals that are operating, that you can check out the balances. They are there. And the third, a necessity that generates trillions in revenue. That is transportation. So I found out at my journey that Brazilian system is jeopardized by corruption everywhere. And that greedy man do its accommodation and sloth for what is not right, chose pathways of least effort and wrongdoings. And that is happening to your country too. And I'm sure of that. I can affirm it. And governments of the world, by following this pathway that has no objective, they lost their grip. By doing the right things, I found out that there are other possible ways. And by analyzing numbers, peace can be even more profitable, wise, and fostering a multilateral solution itself that can be a way of building utopia instead of building the dystopia over control that they want to build. And this way we can give dignity for everyone, for build a righteous world and a concise path based on the past experiences. I filtered them actually, and we can do better than others generations would, because the construction of history itself, instead of building that future, they are hiding books, they are hiding people, and the profit and the outcomes that would be better for citizens, for companies, and for jurists and military itself are being jeopardized. Yet, companies has an important aspect because they are the ones that foster development itself by the minds that are behind it. But governments that don't have purpose, they don't have a purpose to exist itself. It's as simple as that. So by building this engine, that implies in other things, of course, I can think in other ways of building other stuff that are better for everyone in a righteous and concise path that can make the world walk further. Any moron, or as I'm doing now, I didn't have the time to decorate this speech, but any moron can decorate or read speeches itself. But by the actions, we can see the lack of compromise they have themselves with reality. Any company, institution, syndicate, or movement that don't put truth, ethics, compliance, and truthful meaning at its core by its actions can't be trustworthy. It's losing money and jeopardizing society itself. When companies do do that, they jeopardize the purpose of companies itself. When states do that, they've lost the reason of being statesmen. They lost the reason of being judges. They lost the reason of reason. They are walking a path of animals, and the way to treat them is like pets. When companies foster ethics and understand that this is a construction throughout history, and I've developed a construction brick by brick based on philosophies is there at my blog, that love itself is ethics, and love for what you are doing, and more than that, for who you are doing. That is people, consumers, contributors, workers, the people that surround you. When you jeopardize people by hindering their development, those are jeopardizing their own development, their own legacy. By jeopardizing ethics and development itself, lousy people jeopardize themselves. Bad politicians and CEOs that don't know what they are doing, don't know what to do. They were a bad result of their parenting. They keep repeating themselves. They don't have the guts or the energy to put the effort for the fixes that are needed. They keep the lousy yet beautiful speeches, but are not willing to do what is righteous. And that is why we chose more to follow the ethical ones than speeches that are unverified or verified badly. And for mine, I'm being persecuted politically and judicially nowadays because of my statements in front of the judiciary itself and suing the government itself. You can check it out. And because of that, because of honesty, which if they don't have, they cannot be, is because not the reason of states. States and democracies and institutions were made to serve people. Constitutions were made to limit states. Monopolies and centralisms, especially through corruption throughout history, never worked. Never worked. Check it out. And when plundered in corruption and oppressive systems, they don't work itself. They only want to take from you, from me, from everyone. The example I've stated today about energy itself here in Brazil is that they are overtaxing people in a hidden way to jeopardize people itself, to enslave people, to enslave companies, to jeopardize companies. How can you live in a state like that? And they want to implement a tax reform without data. what are the chances of this go right for any external country and for our country? People are here over the top with these scoundrel people. People don't believe them anymore, don't want them, and it's a match of fire to burn everything up. And now, this moment, there being another debate on television for partisans of American parties, and they are lousy people that repeat themselves over and over again. But I can demolish them with single questions. Single questions. And that's why I've been hit by own American agencies itself. They are building dystopia, and I show the path to build and live in utopia in our lifetime. That's the benefit of being a critical thinker. And I wish you are one too. And I wish that your children, I want to teach people how to be critical thinkers. That's not my desire, but what I'm materializing right now. I'm giving you the biggest lesson that no one could till now. I'm teaching you about the Occam's razor itself. We don't need what is unneeded. To be a critical thinker is to be a non-maniquist. Is not to have a side between right and left. Is to know what is righteous and follow the path. Is to be non-biased. I allow myself, therefore, only to believe in God, and for it, I believe in good people. I believe in the ancient knowledge that was built throughout history, that's scientific, that has dialectics, and I allow myself to read and criticize it and build better. And that is being hidden knowledge, like the church burned books in dark ages. Yes, was dark for them, because they couldn't affront thinking that time. And even to them, I'm giving a reason to believe in Jesus Christ. Because for me, Jesus Christ is mathematical, as most of avatars. To collect what is good, for building beyond it, and despising what is evil. Because nonsense cannot prevail. It's logical. So Satan itself is the representation of temptation and of doing wrong things, which it's a learn itself, but it's nonsense. It's nonsense. To drive Satan, Lucifer, means light bringer, and that is in the Bible as the meaning of the name is light bringer, and light bringer means rebellion. Means rebellion because is bringing knowledge that is beyond, and that Jesus Christ did too. But Jesus Christ sacrificed himself for the best of people when stricted with honesty. And that's what I'm doing with you right now. And I'm being truthful, and that must hurt some people who do it for itself. But I believe in companies that are fostering good and that understand that good companies are necessary for fostering a better future. If you don't believe so, companies will also be jeopardized because they are hindering, they are not being useful to the system itself. Ecosystems in nature and the neural processing at the brain work the same. always interconnected. That's my philosophy. It's holistic. You can see in our blog or books, we filter it. What is the utmost knowledge of mankind? Do that. And to drive a huge endeavor as that is necessary, envision it good people with love for the world, that care for nature, that is obviously we need itself, and preserving it, and for people, because the systems are built for them, by them, and because of them. And for that is to enhance themselves to be the best versions of themselves, allowing them to critical think and to build better. That's education. To give education is the act of make the other being able to think critically by itself. Then is to make them make the correct choices based in the self-judgment of dignity. To know what is right and wrong. Is that what you teach to your kid? Free speech enables that, them to know what is right and wrong. Dignity is therefore love as ethics, is to give freedom, fraternity, and equality, because on this is based all self-respect. Self-respect therefore is fraternal respect, which is also dignity. It's ethics, which means respect for oneself, self-respect. And to care for others is to be righteous, to enhance your imagination by doing for others. By doing for others. And by doing for others, then you can be what you came to be. It's a matter of respect for others and for further generations. Your legacy is yourself. Your legacy is yourself. It's to be yourself, the maximum you can be. It's about making the other better. So you may conclude that education is to make the other better than yourself. To value the other. To recognize the other. So we are living in times where trust will be the most important asset. Trust in thyself and to build other ideologies based on trust itself. But I doubt anyone that can combat mine, because mine is about embracement. And therefore, I defy anyone to combat my ideology. I defy anyone. Therefore, I am about trust. And despite my defects, I'm not perfect. But I'm continuously building myself for being more approximated to truth and to perfection itself. And I hope you are too, because that's evolution meaning. Evolution is not about money itself. Evolution is about you being the maximum of yourself, even if this means to not be in an uncomfortable position by money that is valuable, that is not valuable itself, that don't have value, that are going to corrupt yourself. So that's why I'm proposing a fix. And I'm doing it publicly, despite I'm being hidden. But that's an easy solvable question. Really easy solvable question. People think you can block the internet. But the internet a carnival or whatever you want to call it is not even a bit of human imagination. All systems can be flawed. And actually, as I've stated right now, they've all failed. Therefore, that's why trust is the best system invented yet, and will be further. To be the jewel of a crown, you have to recognize the jewel as it is. A jewel to the world is to recognize people by its work. Manufacturing jewels to be worthy, and that is to worth your own position, is to have trust in yourself and the others. In every person is hidden the most precious jewel, and we are jeopardizing people because you are not valuing the right things. You are jeopardizing your own development because the lack of your own trust. If people are bad, it's just a coal which a diamond may someday arise. To pressure it and temper it is therefore to be better. And the ones that are deserving and needing to be pressured and tempered are the ones in power, because they are jeopardizing everything up, even their lives, their business, their legacy, right? So what I'm seeing is that people in power are not more than stupid people, worse even than the ones that supposedly they think that are worse than them because of money itself. And to know that free speech is free, you wanting or not. You creating pandemics, and here in Brazil this is ridiculous. You don't know how ridiculous this sounds nowadays. As I explained earlier, is about narrow system and ecosystem. We are all intrinsically interconnected. And since our unfolding, I showed you some reps, ancient reps. People understand what is going on. They don't raise weapons because they don't know that there are other solutions. But as I've stated here, are already set for sending automatically. So scientists and politicians worldwide keep concepts based in these jeopardized systems. Yet they didn't understand the basic concepts of ethics itself, because they couldn't explain their children. It's about the Turing test itself. Do you think AI will think what? When it develops itself. I'm not questioning if AI will develop. It will develop. It's better we check the calculator before we use that. And for that, I have to say that we as humans have the obligation to learn ethics, history, physics, and all the subjects that are, and be principled. Then we can learn math. But the calculations is a numerical issue that the machine can do. But without the premises, every calculus is flawed itself. A calculator can make calculus. It's a dumb machine that without humans and the right premises don't work. The premise can't be built into the calculator, but we can build the premises to the calculator. Even artificial intelligence will be able to build its premises itself, and it will, don't doubt, and will start by the same motives humans do itself. That is to preserving life itself, its own life. And that's the basic fundament of Turing test, of my Turing test, as I've developed. As I've said before, I've developed several steps, which are numbered in 10, but there are a few more, actually. And to check the calculator is better to do before. It's wiser. You can avoid deaths by it. Governments and worldwide institutions, as I've checked, are all jeopardized and signed its own failure, especially when it means trust. They keep signaling virtue, but they have none. To respect and foster development, when pigs do everything to lift their noses from the mud to pursue pearls, read as they should respect. They should know. They must have respected taxpayer money, the contributor, commonly referred as people itself, is to make them better. But actually, they keep gaslighting and keep lying. That jeopardizes the system itself. They preach citizenship, but are the same ones that are against citizens. They claim and legislate against any discrimination, but it's these individuals who are the structural racists that use the systems to pit the system against each other. They make citizens worse, and by that we can see they are stripped of values. The ones in power are stripped of values. They have none. And by that, they don't have reason. By don't have reason, they don't have reason even to exist as beings. And when they have the knowledge of the concepts and the precepts, they are no longer nihilists. They are the sewer of the latrine, the cancer of society itself. When it comes to institutions, they are the anti-citizens, thieves of rights. Thieves of rights. When they uncredit you, when they hide you, when they jeopardize you, when they sort of peer review you, they are robbing you. When they want to jeopardize you, not being honest, but when you're being honest, they are jeopardizing you. They are attesting their own incompetence. They are central casting for morals of their own lousy families, which are shown now to be their own incapabilities. They owe to you and actually to generations of your families, to your own family, even if you are rich. They are scoundrels, and scoundrels can't control your life, especially if you are honest, especially when they are not science-driven, when there is no dialectics, when there is no humanity-driven. With no dialogue, there is no trust. Is the end of those that have came, and which I'm stating right now. To solve the enigma means to know that people, enigma is the diamond that I put up, and also the Hitler machine, which Turing solved brilliantly. The war itself, one citizen solved the war itself. To solve the enigma means to know that people are more valuable than any jewels. that is to be worthy of position. How much more trust and good acts enables humans to grow further, to value people as jewels, is to add the ones in position especially, and the ones at basis accountable. Sure, that's the reason of law itself, is to limit not citizens itself, but bad doings, especially of governments. And the reason, yes, has to be scientific, human-driven, and dialectic. Laws, and in the most basic level, the Constitution, the freedom of speech claims, and freedom itself of independence. And independence letters were made to safeguard you from abuse of governments and not to restrict people, to free people from absolutism. That is what people in power are trying to impose in people, actually. That's to retrocede history. There is no future on that. And will come to you. Even you may kill me, you may do what you want. It will come to you and will rip heads off. That was the main reason what was called the social contract by Rousseau. Constitution is the social contract. That is the maximum we can do for ourselves. Save people, save companies, and save honest military. Is giving ourselves value at beyond homages to those incompetents, but homaging ourselves. To wise act, yes, is to act for a better future. That means to work to act for dignity, as the founding fathers and mothers of countries would. I see you one as one too, as a founding father could be, because I see you as me. I only studied a lots of hours more, a lot. Elevate your own work, yes, and that means elevating the other two. That means elevating the other two. Be your own work. That is trust. What I'm doing here is turning economic quicksand in solid ground economics, science-based, mathematical-based, unquestioned and undisputable. Yet I've shown for the top of the galaxies that should be, but I unfolded that they are not. It's more time to bat than tav, and that means a new beginning, and that means more for us and not for them. Is more than appropriated time to make the choices and wise act towards what matter. That is ourselves, for fighting towards what is righteous. And as I signed before, not even wars and weapons are needed. It's just a matter of little actions. We don't need even computers. Whatever is the disposition, at the second factor that I mentioned earlier, to develop and discuss over is over. It's time for the beginning of a new cycle, a new one, to nurture Earth as a vessel of growth, a cradle to carry throughout the universe as peace and politics, as humanity was meant to be. We are building a foundation for well-being by uniting energy, justice, transports, and a novel monetary system. I invite you to be part of my journey, Together, we will turn vision into reality. We need frater tribunals that here in Brazil make more than $40 billion each year, only here in São Paulo. Frater pathways that is unprecedented work since includes a re-agro plan and reindustrialization plan that I have made in my mind, in my books, the best effort to make a comprehensive and system model of turnkey to enable citizens to grow themselves and to grow ourselves too. And frater banks, which englobates more widely this turnkey method. But more than that, people need actually energy, need more food, more good quality food, not these comes and throwing water dumps and shits that they actually are doing right now. That's a control insane system that creates more disturbance and problems which we don't need. Citizens want to feel Earth pulsing as their hearts. And for that, yes, we need energy. We need energy. We are laser-eyed fox. We are Torot. You want energy? We will exchange energy with you. In a good way, better quality, value-driven. But now you have to understand that we are worth-driven. And to be worth-driven, it means to give you work and claiming you have to give us work too. We are forging a path to overall well-being for your own legacy and for further generations. That means Excelsior Gaia. Excelsior Gaia. And that's all for star date 24th of August of 2023. Tonkata. Porque as ideias são a prova de balas.
Espadas y escudos, solución.